But I carried on. I persevered. And we picked up and we moved from that time, my sons and I, and they decided that it was time to marry Moab women. So they married Ruth and Orpah out of love and out of necessity. And so there we were, and we created a beautiful life for ourselves, although it was hard. And I tell you what, the hardest thing of all, no grandchildren. None. I asked my God, what is the problem? Is there a master plan that I cannot see? Is there something I do not understand? Perhaps it is that my children and their wives are working too hard, toiling too much. And we know that bodies get weary when they work hard. I don't know, but I accept no grandchildren. And as much as that was difficult, life became even harder. And I went through an experience I would want for no other mother. I buried my sons. And I wept. I wept. For here I was, no longer a wife, and now no longer a mother. And as hard as my tears fell, I thought of my daughters-in-law, for they were young, and they were without husbands. And they too wept. I wondered where my God was. I wondered what the plan was, for I knew that this was hard, and I admit, I was bitter. I was very bitter in my soul. I could not understand why these hard things continued to happen. But inside me is a strength, and inside me is a knowing that God has a plan, and that God will use all of these things and rise up to a greater way. So I allowed that knowing to fill me. And it guided me. I made a decision to return to my homeland, to return to Bethlehem. I was lonely, and I missed the ways of my people. I missed my home. So I decided that I would return. And at first, I talked to Orpah about it, and I was hoping that she would come with me. But she listened to her heart, and she decided to remain in Moab. And she was going to return to her Moabite way of life. This made me sad. But then I turned to Ruth, and I said to her,
your people will be my people, and your God, my God.
yes, Ruth, you did. You kept your promise to follow me wherever I go. Ruth, my daughter, who taught me love and loyalty.
And my mother taught me courage and faith in the midst of adversity.
Away.
question my decision to go to Israel. I became a blessed child of God. I had left the world I had known to stay with this woman who showed me her faith and love. It was undeniable, her strength. I wanted to be like her and be with her. In Naomi's homeland, our lives were like many. We had enough. My mother Naomi was well connected with family in this Israelite land. I am accepted and cared for as one of their own. However, we lived meagerly. I gleaned wheat for our meals by walking along behind the ones harvesting and gathering what they had left behind. We were fed. As I followed the harvesters, we moved to crops who were owned by Boaz, a family member of Naomi's husband. He made sure we were taken care of, and I was treated well as I worked in the field. I knew he felt responsible to us due to being family. However, one day I felt something different. As he sat eating, he called me over and he said,
"Come here and have a dry crust of bread and some sour wine." I knew something was different about Ruth from the first time I saw her. There was something different about this beautiful and loving woman. I was very impressed with her. Naomi saw the spark between us, and she encouraged Ruth to stay working in my fields. I was childless and unmarried. I made sure Ruth was taken care of, had enough to eat, and was protected from the younger men. But let me tell you when things changed between Ruth and I. See, after the crops were harvested, I would sleep at the threshing floor to guard the wheat. One night I had eaten and I had drank my wine and was content with the bounty of nature all around me. There was love in the air. Naomi knew the ways of men and encouraged Ruth to be courageous and come to me there. Ruth heeded the advice. She was lovely and smelled of perfume. She slept gently at my feet. Being a woman of some initiative, she suggested that we marry. Happily, I agreed. I had land, I had money, I had a wife that I loved. We were married and we were blessed with Obed.
Obed! Obed, my grandson, my joy. Blessed be the day that he was born, and bless all of Israel. May his name be known to all. Oh, we have a mighty future before us, as does our beloved Israel. God's good will follow us in all that we say and in all that we do, for the glory of God lives and moves with us. We know that this is so. And even though we have had hardships, even though we have suffered, even though we have had losses, God finds a way to bring forward the most wonderful things through each and every one of us.
My heart What faithfulness, loyalty, and love we have just witnessed. I am filled with gratitude for these ordinary people who have taken part in the extraordinary story of God's plan. You see, this story is the beginning of my story. Who am I? I am King David, the greatest king of Israel. Obed is my grandfather, the son of Ruth, a Moabite, a Gentile. Ruth came under the influence of Naomi because of Naomi's strength in God, even when overcome by the trials of life. Naomi was at her lowest. She was empty. When Ruth renounced her former life and followed Naomi into the unknown, Ruth stayed by her side and did not leave her alone. Naomi didn't realize it at the time that Ruth was her greatest treasure. We don't always know the plan, but through faith in divine order and perseverance, prevail. We know that in the darkest of nights, the sun will rise. God uses ordinary people in real-world situations for the greater good. The revelation here, then, is that there are no ordinary people, for we are all part of the extraordinary as one great family of God.
Stand and join us. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. Every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, in faithful love unite, in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. I recognize the God in you. Feel the love and sanctuary. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love.
And so we have witnessed the story of Ruth as it's found in the Hebrew Scriptures. It's a great story. It's a story of faith, a story of love, a story of family, a story of choices. And I believe that each and every one of us can, as I certainly can, find a part of ourselves in Naomi, in Ruth, in Boaz. And we can certainly have absolute faith that no matter what circumstances that life may bring to our door, that God will always be with us, leading us, guiding us, with the living Spirit Almighty within each and every one of us, moving through us, as us, will raise us up into a greater expression of the love that each of us truly is. So now we're going to call forth our musicians just to recognize them for their work today. Come forward. And of course, our wonderful actors. Ed Taylor, Tom Carter, Ruth Carter, Little Henry, and Reverend Mark.
And before you go any farther, I want to acknowledge Val, who wrote this wonderful